it's
live.
on. It's on.
Live.
My daughter made this song, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet, man. Oh, I got some ideas then. I didn't know your daughter was making music.
Yeah.
That's good because you can't get sued.
Uh-huh.
That's good because you can't get sued.
I know.
You,
All
no,
right,
you
let's
won't
get
get any strikes.
that's right. That's right. Let's get it down. Let's get it down. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to my live. I'm Maker Albania Osher Al. And with me today is my very special guest. More than a very special guest, but a great friend, a great brother. I just love this dude, man, and his family. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, man. Come on now. Put it together for my man, my main man here. Thomas Hogan. How you doing, Tom?
Hey, man, what's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good, man. I've been looking forward for me and you to go live from the first day we met. I said, man, your story is so incredible, and how we met is so incredible, and I couldn't
Hey,
wait.
that first day was crazy, man. Remember how your wife and my wife left? They said these
No,
guys are not gonna stop talking. They just left.
and
They
then
just
we beat
left.
them. Then they left and came back, and we beat them because we were talking for like maybe what 3-4 hours.
3 4 hours, man. Just in front of like a Starbucks, just having a talk, man.
Man, guys, I'm telling you, man. So let's get right into it. I'm going. Let's talk about how we met, and then we're gonna get into love. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about love, and love is always a sensitive
Love.
topic. Love is a sensitive topic for me because I've watched the. I know, right? How do you do that? I was watching my daughter do it, and I'm like, how do you do
Oh yeah. They gotta the kids do
it?
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So I've been love is a sensitive topic for me because I've seen so many relationships get destroyed because a lot of people enter into this contract but don't really truly understand what they're getting into, or they might have preconceived notion of what they think love is. And so I've counseled a lot of people over the years, and not only counsel a lot of people, I brought a lot of people together because I see something and I say, hey, man, you two might, and so you got that insight to see it. And then, based upon my own experience, I'm like, all right, you know what? I see you going on the path. What can I do to help that person? And so that's why we came out here, Tom and I came out here today, because between us, we have 44 years, 4 years of experience. This is not secondhand information. We know exactly what we're talking about based upon our experience with, previous relationships. I was married before and divorced and remarried sometime later, and kind of gave up on marriage, and thanks to the heavens, send me this beautiful woman, of which we've been together now 24 years, but we've been married 20 years. So Tom,
Nice.
tell us a little bit about, but before that, let's tell them about how we met, man. Let's tell them about how we met.
So me and I watch YouTube. That's how kind of I go to sleep watching YouTube videos, and I watch a lot of videos about the Philippines because I live in the Philippines. And one of the videos that just popped up on the stream was now living in the Philippines. It just came up. It showed your family coming here off the plane, getting greeted by all these people, and you guys are so excited. I tried to wake my wife up. I was like, babe, look at this. She ain't, it was like 11:30 at night. She's not waking up. But so the next day, I was like, hey, watch this video with me. And then I tried to reach out to you. So I saw the video. I was like, man, that's really cool. That's really cool. So on Facebook, I saw you have Facebook. I tried to reach out to you. I sent you like 3 messages like, hey, man, you're in Cebu. I'm in Cebu. We should connect. Like, I think we have, you got a lot of stuff going on. I got a lot of stuff going on where I'm at in the province. But we're in the city like once or twice a month. So let us know. And you didn't get back with you. I was like, man, he must have so many fans. He must have so many fans. He don't need to talk to nobody.
It's so
But
crazy.
finally,
I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, who this guy keep calling me, reaching out to me? And I'm like, I don't know no Thomas. And I'm going to my wife. I'm like, honey, you know this guy? You know Thomas Hogan? You know anybody? No. I'm like, this guy keep reaching out to me. But at first, I thought you were in the States. I thought you were in the States, and I'm
ah,
like, I just left there and I'm starting a new life here in the Philippines. And I'm like, man, I'm not going back to no arguing
I
over the
respect
corner
that.
about belief system. And, because I used to do that a lot with people, like, just arguing over scriptures and belief system. I'm like, I'm just
Yeah,
done with
yeah,
that. Like,
yeah,
I'm done with all of
yeah.
that. And so when you keep calling me, I'm thinking, who is this guy? But just something in me to say, yo, let's find out. I tell you, my wife is beautiful. She's like, honey, the only way you're gonna know is if you hit that receive
Yeah.
button. I hit the receive
So
button. We
finally you
hooked
did
up.
respond. It was a couple months later, but finally you did
Yeah,
respond to because I was a little discouraged. I was like, man, you seem like my kind of people, but you didn't want to reach out to me. I'm like, all right, whatever, let it be. And I got, me and my wife, we got enough stuff going on. We don't have to go find new things to do. Um, but you finally did reach out to me. I was really excited. My wife said, "Okay, let's go meet. Let's go meet." So we come down there to the mall, and from the first time I saw you, man, you're full of joy. You're
come
full of
on, man.
passion. You're just excited. You're just an excitable guy. And
You
so
have to
from the
be
first time I met you, my son met me, my kids met you, and we just hit it off, man. We've been talking ever since. Like, and we
everything,
talk about everything: spiritual
everything. Yeah,
life, talk about
yeah,
family, talk
yeah.
about purpose, talk about
I,
everything.
it's just amazing because we have two different belief systems. But what's so amazing about the relationship is that it's not based on it's not based on our religious system. It's based on me getting to know you as a person and just talk with you and just become a friend to you. And I just, like you said, man, I love your family. I really truly love your family. I just felt like you are a gem to me. Like you're a gem to my family. Your knowledge, your wisdom, the way you reason, you're not biased, and that's what I love about you. You can look me in the face and say, "Well, I disagree with that." And I love that. I love when a person can look me right in the eye and say, I disagree with what you're saying. However, here's why, and you explain your situation. I'm like, I may not like it, I may not feel it, but I'm like, all right, that's your point of view. And that's something I've learned when you transfer that to love. You know what I mean? That we can have different point of view, we can have different system, but again, the underline is what it is,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
it is. Yeah, man.
Yeah, the core of that, man, is like for me and you, we have different. I think that's accurate what you said. We have different systems.
Yes.
We got a different system, but the underlying thing is, man, I see in you, and I see in your family, and the kind of the way you set yourself up. I see passion. I see purpose. I see like a core ideal, like what you want out of life, and that's
Yes.
and that thing's bigger than my system. It's big, and
Oh
in my
man.
opinion, it's bigger than your system. It's that stuff. That's what holds the world together. It's what holds. It's the reason nations don't just start fighting and blowing each other
Come
up
on
because
now.
they got this core. We got this core thing that we got to get to, whether it's
Yeah.
peace or hope or something for our kids or whatever it is. And you get that. Like to me, like I'm the same as you, man. I gave it up. I don't want to sit around arguing with people all day. If you want to believe what you want to believe it, man. Good for you.
I think one of the biggest problems we have, if you look at how the world operates today, is like the monarchies and the empires. They go around and they want everybody to be like them. You know what I mean? And that
Yeah.
always causes issues. Always causes fights.
Colonizers, man. There's
Yeah,
colonizers
yeah, man.
everywhere.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. But let me take this time to say a shout out to Hayden Thies. If I say your name right, please. If I mess up your name, help me. I'm very bad with the pronunciation.
Hayden looks good.
But yeah, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you. You're one of the first comment here from our live. We're gonna be having this a lot, guys. So right now I've been doing live on YouTube, not YouTube. I've been doing actually I did live on YouTube, but at Maker Albania Osharal, my other channel, and I've done a lot of live. I think I maybe do 3 lives on my now living in the field, now living in the Philippines, and now because I'm doing TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, I decided that I'm no longer going to do any more lives on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And I said I'm going to put all my attention on YouTube. I really like the YouTube system. I really like how they fear, and you can if you actually do something, if you actually go out of character, you go to line, they send you a message and they talk about you. They might suspend you or stop you for a minute and say sending this and sending that, and you can send in that. They review it and they restore you right away. Not so with Facebook, not so with TikTok, and definitely not so with Instagram. You take forever and you don't even know what you're doing. So I'm concentrating all my energy here, so this is going to be the new thing. All right, so now you get that. If you're joining us for the very first time, we need you to go hit that like button. We're like at 6,700 likes, subscribers. We're trying to get to 10,000. Help us get to 10,000. Listen, help us get to 10,000 because we want the algorithm to spread so more people can get to enjoy what you're enjoying. I'm telling you, this is not going to be the first with Tom. Me and Tom, we can talk for hours, y'all. But it's not about us. It's not about us today. We have information that we truly want to give you. We really want to give
Yeah.
you, embark on you the information that we have gathered over the times. Some of the do's and the don'ts, some of the ups and the downs, some of the how to think in your relationship. So let me read something here that I found, which I thought was very interesting. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. It's asking the question. I just lost that. Oh, here we go. I think it's coming from Love Means More. I think that's the name of their website. But the question was asked here. It says, "What is love? What is love?" Hmm. Love is to will the good of others. That's what the answer here. Love is to will the good of the other. But what does it mean? I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this piece right here, but we're gonna see. I want to hear. What do you think? Do you think love is to will the good of the others? That's what they have here. So I'm just, what is your thought here? Love is to will the good of the other.
To will the good of others. I'm sure that's an aspect of love. Yes, I would agree that that is something that love does. Yes, I don't know if that is love, but that's something that love that is an effect or a element or a outcome of love. I would argue that's a good starting point.
Yeah, I'm getting my
I
itch
don't know
now.
if that is love. That's strong to say that is love by
Ah,
itself, but
we're going to talk about it, man. But then it says something here, which I love this. It says, "I love you." Imagine sincerely saying this to someone for the first time and getting this response. What do you mean? Right? What do you mean? It says, "I love you." And somebody said, getting this response. Instead of saying, when you say to somebody you love them, what are you expecting to hear is, "I love you too." But if
right, right.
someone was to stop and said, "What does
What,
that
what, is it,
mean?
what
What
do you
do
mean?
you mean?" Woo! How would you answer that? How would you answer that?
That's a, if some first of all, you don't say you love me back.
It's war.
Yeah, why? Why not? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? No, no, that's that. I'll try it, man. I'm gonna do an experiment. This was next time somebody says they love me. Like, what do you think that means?
I know, right? No, the, the
I think
comment says,
I
the
think that
comment
I
says,
think that what the writer is getting at is that I think a lot of times because we live superficial lives, we live like lives on the surface. When somebody says "I love you," especially family, friends, somebody who's close to us, it's not something we put a lot of thought or intention into. Okay, I
ah,
love you. You know,
ah,
so love should be thoughtful and intent and motive. There should be a motive behind love, and so
aye,
you probably shouldn't just say "I love you" just because somebody says "I love you." You probably should have some deeper. Now, most people we've been married a long time. My wife says "I love you." I love you too, babe.
right. Because you're
Um,
married. You're already in a
so
committed relationship.
we already in that committed relationship, but it is worthwhile, I think, from whatever the point the writer's trying to get at, it's worthwhile to really consider what do I mean when I say that, or what does that person mean when they ask that. If somebody says, "Do you love me?" Well, okay, what do you think that means? Before I say yes, what do you think that means? Does it mean I'm gonna give to you and support you no matter what, or does it mean that I'm here for you even though I may not support you? Like what layers, or what levels, and what work are you gonna put into that love? So
Right,
yeah,
right.
this is a good question. I'll ask that question this week and find out.
Yeah,
Next time somebody says "I love you," like "I love you, Dad," what do you think that means?
exactly. What does it
Then I'm
mean?
not gonna get in a fight with one of my kids.
Because it becomes a casual thing nowadays. It's like hello,
Mm.
how are you doing? If people ask you how you doing, they're not really interested in how you doing. You should try that too. How you doing? All right. Somebody asks you how you doing. I say, do you really want to know? Do you really want to
Yeah,
know
you
how I'm
really
doing?
want to know?
they're not really
How much time you
asking you
got?
how you doing. It's a casual hi. You know what I mean? But it's a question. Okay, and especially if someone asks you how you doing and they start telling you, man, I can't pay my rent. You know, I'm about to lose this. I'm losing. I'm like, all right, man. You know, thank you.
All
We'll
right,
talk later.
I get it. Yeah. What I meant is, I don't really give me an answer I'm okay with. That's what I meant.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, let's get into this. What do you think love is? I want to give you a number here for you guys can call in if you would like to call in and really talk to us. The number is from the Philippines. You'd have to call to the Philippines. I don't know if you can guys can call from the Americans, but the number is 0929 534 534 2817. If you guys want to call in and comment or if you have something to say, we'll try to get you on there and just hear what you have to say because what you have to say is very important to us as well. All right, love. So tell us about love. We're talking about love today. Love, 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 love. You know, I used to sing this song, Love, Love, Love. The gospel in a word is love. And the gospel actually means good news. So the good news, love. So let's talk about love. What is it? What really is love? What's your definition of love? So let me hear you, my brother. What do you think love is from your experience? This is
Man,
not. There's no right or wrong answer here. We're not looking for a right or wrong answer. We just want to hear your experience that may be able to help somebody who may be listening to this today. What is love?
yeah. So I grew up in the '80s and the '90s, right?
Ah,
So my view of love has shifted a lot because I grew up in an era where I mean all the songs were about love. All
yes,
the like it was there was this emotional pull. It doesn't matter if
yes,
it's church or real life out there, and that there's this emotional pull toward love. And so I would say my understanding of love before I fell in love, before I had an interaction with love,
yes,
my expectation of love was very emotional. It was a very emotional attachment, and so I would say, I get flack about it because I've been married a long time, but when I first met my wife, before I didn't know she was gonna be my wife. I just liked her; she's a cool chick. Um, I introduced her to one of my friends who I grew up with, right? This girl that I grew up with, and I introduced her as this is the only girl I'll ever love. And I was 17 years old, or no 18. I was
wow,
18 years old.
wow,
So I met my wife. We are in college. Like I'm in college with her, but my wife's a little bit older than me, so she'd been in college a bit longer than me. And this girl that I grew up with, that I was around a lot whenever I was a teenager, um, I had in my mind, I was like, when I introduced it, I was like, oh, this is the only girl I'll ever love. But
wow.
I was being playful. I was being silly because I'm a silly guy. At least I was
Nah,
when I was 18.
I can't see that about you.
And so, well, silly about silly things. So so I introduced her that way, right? And you don't know, 24 years later, sometimes if me and my wife get into a heated discussion, we don't, my we don't fight. We have intense fellowship. We when we get to a heated discussion, and she'll be like, why don't you ask the only girl you ever loved?
Hold on, hold
And I'm
on,
like,
hold
first
on,
of all, I was
hold on, hold on, hold
18.
on, hold on. You can't skip over that. We don't fight. We have intense fellowship. I
Yeah, man.
love
We
that.
have yeah, we get to the bottom of it, because we don't fight, we get to the bottom of it. We go deeper, we got in our relationship because we've kind of been this way. I wouldn't say from the beginning that our first 2 years is tough, man. Our first 2 years of any relationship, but marriage especially. That
Man,
first
that's
two
the
years.
honeymoon
So our
stage.
first 2 years
That's the honeymoon
was
stage.
that?
That's the honeymoon
Yeah.
stage.
No, because if you so it's different. If you've lived with the person, it's different. I didn't live with my wife.
Oh,
I hung out with
okay.
her, but we didn't have that. We didn't have. And I would say that's a very modern thing to live with somebody. You get to know them before you get to know them.
Yes,
But
yes.
for us, that's not the way we did it. So us living together, that was the first time we lived together. We hung out a lot. We were around each other a lot, but we didn't. I didn't see her in the morning when she woke up. She didn't see me at my work. That's a big part of it. And so when we did start living together, that's a clash of worlds, man. That's my world. And the way
Yes.
I do things, and the way I like
Yes.
things, and in your world, and the way you do things, it ain't the same world. We don't live in the same world, so now our worlds start coming together and they
Biden.
collide.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's not always an easy transition. And I would say always, it is often a difficult transition for most people. So
Mm.
anyway, um, my expectation of what love was and then what actual love is are two very different things. My experience was very different than what my expectation was.
All right. So
And
tell
so
us a little bit
now,
about that. Tell us about your experience. Because you say you were in the 80s and 24 in
yeah,
the 80s,
yeah,
you know. So let's take us back now. Take us back because I'm going back there with
yeah.
you too as
So
well.
I would say I had my parents as an example, and my parents did not have. They fought a lot, right? And this is not to get into family business too much, but our my parents did not have. They had a committed love, but they did not
Mm.
have an emotional. They did not have an
Woo!
emotional. They did not have a deep emotional connection.
All
They
right,
had a very deep.
you're
Yeah,
gonna have
that's a lot
yeah,
to
yeah,
a lot
you
to
got you
process. I'm just
listen,
saying
listen.
they can.
You're
My
you're a
parents are
philosopher.
old school.
You're a philosopher and your words hit home. You can't just skip over these things, but you gotta break that down. You
All
got to
right, all
break
right.
that down.
My parents are old school. My dad was 70. I was adopted, and my dad was 72 when he adopted me. So
Wow.
my dad was not a young guy. He grew up in the 20s and the 30s. He grew up a long time before I
Yeah.
ever lived, and he the way he looked at life was very much responsibility. Like, what responsibilities are you taking? What responsibilities are you fulfilling? And so when he married my mom, who's a little bit younger than him, not a little bit, my mom's younger than him, he was like, okay, this is the responsibility of marriage. And so I had that understanding that all the time I was growing up. All
Children,
the time. Sorry.
all
My
part
my
of
grand
love.
my granddaughter is going to school.
All part of
Say
love
hi
right
to
there.
everybody, and
Hi.
then now go to
You look
school.
so good in your uniform.
See you soon. Um, so so he had that was his understanding, right? He'd come into this relationship and he was going to fulfill the responsibilities of that relationship. And I would say that was instilled in me, or that was at least exampled to me the whole time I was growing up. And but my mom and dad were not lovey dovey, hanging all over each other. My mom was somewhat that way with my dad, but my dad was very stoic.
Mm.
Um, he was very he was very affectionate with us as
Yes.
kids,
Yes.
but when it came to like that relationship, there was a private part of that and then the public
Yes.
part of that, and
Yes.
they were very
Yes.
separate. And so I had that example, but then all my friends started dating 12, 13, 14 years old, and they all like, that their version of it was very different,
Ah.
because all my friends were dating, and they were dating like multiple, like they're dating, normal stuff,
Oh yeah, we're gonna get
and
that. I had seven
go,
women at one
go,
time.
going,
Seven women at
yeah,
one time.
going through
Yeah.
those experiences and seeing that, it was that was a turn off for me. Actually, my friends like kind of going through this cycle of relationships, and especially my friends that were guys, they kind of had a very specific way of looking at it. But my friends that were girls, going out with these guys, going out with this guy, going out with that guy, like they were tore up, man. Like
Yeah.
their lives became these emotional wrecks.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that really that turned off the idea of like, okay, maybe I don't know what it is about 15-year-olds and 14-year-olds, but they don't have it together enough to be in these kind of
You didn't have
situations,
you
right?
didn't have that you didn't have the experience. You didn't have the well, the type of experience that you have is something that you looked at, you're like, I don't want this.
Yeah, I didn't. Well, I didn't. I really felt bad. I had these friends that were girls that I hung out with sometimes. 'Cause I started going to church when I was 13, um, 13 years old. I started going to church, and so I had these friends that also went to church in my neighborhood that were girls, and they would just talk about their relationships with these guys, church guys and not church guys, didn't matter. And they were all bad. Like it was all these bad experiences. It was never like, oh man, he treated me so good and this is what happened and I'm so excited to see him again. It was always like this disaster. And I just saw that pattern. It was not a lot of positive. It was a
All
lot of
right.
negative.
So let's get back. Let's get back. So
Yeah, yeah,
you
let's get back.
I'm going to share, but I want to do your experience of love, right? Your experience of love growing up in the 80s. differ from like say somebody that grew up in this millennia
Oh,
today. And
definitely.
yeah, and you talk
But
about your
because the
dad.
culture, yeah, the culture I grew up in was very different. And then so you fast forward, all these expectations, all these things that I thought love was, they were based on my perception, but not my experience. You know what I
Mm,
mean? They're based on me evaluating what other people were doing, what I
man,
didn't like, what I did like, what I didn't like. And then when it came time for me to be in a relationship, so I started dating when I was 17. I started dating this girl, and I definitely did not love her. I knew I did not love her, but I was like, okay, let's see where this thing goes. Let's see what
yeah,
this thing is about. And then in the experience of relationship, in the experience of deep connection, whether it's physical, for me, physical, spiritual, emotional connection, in that experience, I found very quickly, oh, I don't like this about some people. I don't like these
mm,
things about, and that revelation. That was like, I always thought that people were who they were. You know what I mean?
right,
Like I thought I'm who I am. Like this is who I am. And if the world accepts me, cool. And if people accept me, cool. And if people don't like me, then those aren't my friends. I get it.
right.
That's what I thought the world was like. And that's what I thought love was like. Oh, if it's love, it's gonna be this deep, meaningful thing. And if it's not, whatever. No, man, people are complex.
Oh
Come
yeah,
to find out.
you. But
Come to
you
find out.
you hit a
Go
topic
ahead.
there. You hit a very interesting point when you talk about perception. You know what I mean? The perception that we have growing up. You know, I like you in the 80s, I'm in the 70s, right? And the perception and what I see about love. I didn't have much experience because I grew up in a single parent house. And to see my mom wasn't with my dad when I was born and when I was raised, but then I came and see a stepfather, you know, and the only experience that I have with my stepfather, he goes to work, he comes home, he took a shower, he eat his dinner, and he goes into the room, and that was it. You know, he didn't really. I didn't have no role model when it comes to love. So I search for it. I search for that role model on the streets. I always look at other people's relationship. I'm like, wow, and I think that's how I become knowledgeable of some things because I'm like, I'm looking at this person, and for a minute there, I like them. I like what they're doing, and then next thing you know, you realize, wait a minute, but she's cheating on him. You know, she's cheating on him. So how can you really love somebody you cheat on them? You know, I'm like, so you know, like, wait a minute. The perception and the outside look like, wow, they have it together, but then she's cheating on him, and he's cheating on her. So I'm like,
Uh,
all right, you know. So my whole life, honestly, man, my whole life, I've been searching for that person to fulfill maybe kind of like a father role, you may say, to teach me and to guide me and to help me. I never find no good relationship, man. So growing up, like you said, you start dating girls, and you basically are reciprocating what you've received. Like you're giving what you receive.
right.
You know what I mean? And that was where I was. So in my culture in Jamaica, where we come from, where I'm born and raised in Jamaica till I was 17 years old, it was all about how many women you can hit, how many, the prettiest woman, there was always a competition. So you base your life on relationship based on that, and that kind of thing led me to 6 children, 4 different women.
Hey now.
And I'm gonna talk
Yeah.
to you about guys. Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna
Yeah, man.
talk to you guys about that because the
So
perception.
I would look at somebody like you and I would say, hey, that ain't that ain't for me. That ain't for me, man.
You,
Not because I love kids, man. I adopt kids, man. I got kids. I got more kids than I know what to do with. But that ain't for me.
bro,
That
I
ain't for
think
me.
for me personally, as I was growing up, like I said, I didn't really have that. I really didn't have that
Right.
role model. You know what I mean? But I know that if I have a child, I'm gonna take care of that child. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
care. I don't care what the situation is. I'm gonna be a father to that child because I didn't have a father growing up. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, my dad denied me at 14. You know what I mean? So I was damaged. So I knew that I didn't want to be like my dad. I didn't want to be like the man who donates, who donates to get me to have me here. and I wanted to set a precedent for my life. So after being around the block, nah, yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? I started to think about, okay, what do I want? That's the biggest question I had to ask myself. What do I
Hey.
want out of a relationship? What do I want out of a woman? What am I searching for? What is love for me? Because that's the next
Ah,
question. So come on now.
that's
Let's
it.
talk about
That's
it.
it. So when you get down to it, man, when you get down to it, that's really when you come to yourself.
Come on now.
When you come to yourself, that's whenever you start to have a real,
Yes.
not a perception of love, but
Yes.
an understanding, a knowledge, and then an application of love. Like you
Yes.
have that when you come to yourself. I think if you before you know what, before I was dating, before I was in that kind of world, I had an idea, right? I had an idea of what love was. I had a in my mind, I had an idea of what love was. When I was in that relationship, and definitely towards the end of that relationship, I had an ideal. An idea is it's something that comes out of nowhere. It's formed based on these all these assumptions that are not real, right? But an
Yes.
ideal is I know what's real and I want that thing, whatever that is. And so this ideal of love, like this, the old, a very very old way of saying would say we would say an icon. The icon of love is like the ultimate, like that's what I want. And then before you know what you want, kind of just playing around. You're kind of just trying to figure it out. Like you're saying, you're looking for this love and this authority and this meaningful thing, and so you're looking for it in all these places, whatever that looks like for you. For me, I had an ideal of what manhood looked like in my father, right? I had that. I had an idea of what love should be based on my culture, based on
Mhm.
TLC.
Come on
TLC was telling
now.
me what love, Tess was telling me what love should be. Um, R. Kelly before R. Kelly now, R. Kelly then,
Yeah, Carly.
not R. Kelly now, but R. Kelly and R. Kelly in 1994 was telling me
Yes. So
what or genuine.
yeah.
Genuine was, that's what was telling me what love should be when I was a teenager. But then I get into the experience of it. I get into this person, and I didn't know at the time. Who knows how life works or how other people work, but I didn't know whether this girl loved me, and I
Mm,
definitely knew I didn't love her. Right? I definitely knew I liked her a lot. There were a lot of aspects of this girl that I was with that I liked, but I knew that there was no committed long term for the rest of my life
mm,
thing that did not exist with her. But I believe because I was in that relationship, I believe that does exist. I was like, okay, now that I know that this isn't it, I want it. I want whatever that is. Now
yeah.
I didn't know when that was going to happen. That was going to happen in my mind at the age of 17, 18 years old. That was going to happen like when I'm 30. That was my
Wow.
that was my idea when I mature. When I grow up a little bit and life makes more sense
We all
and I'm
have that.
more established.
We
When I'm
we all have
stable,
that mindset. We all have
yeah,
the
that was my
mindset.
goal. I want to be stable.
Yeah. But for us,
But then yeah,
for me, my mindset was I want to play first before I commit myself to anybody. Yeah. I just want to play.
yeah.
I don't want to get tied down.
So my approach was a little different. I didn't want to mislead somebody. I've been with this girl for 2 years. This girl I was with, I've been with her for 2 years. I started college. She was just finishing high school, getting ready to go into college or whatever she was going to do for the rest of her life. And I could see clearly that we were not going to be together for forever. We might be together for a little bit longer, but we're not going to be together forever. And as that relationship kind of fell apart and crumbled, I did not want to put myself in that situation again, and I definitely didn't want to put somebody else in that situation because I knew by then that I was not an easy person to uh, deal with.
Right.
I knew like if somebody puts up with me, it's gonna be a lot for them. I just felt
Well,
like I felt that was just clear to me. It was obvious to me. I have a big personality. I have a I have like a lot of expectations and demands of people, like, and I just know that whatever that person is, they're gonna have to be strong. They're gonna have to. So I did not know how things were gonna turn out. Now, having said that,
Ah,
I broke up with that girl. Well, we broke up. Um, and then this other girl that I knew, like I knew of her, I didn't really pay attention to her, but this other girl that I knew, we started having conversation. Let's put it that way. We just started talking, and just like me and you, she had a very different worldview, a very different. Her system was very different. She was a Mormon. I don't know if you know anything about
yes,
those
I know.
guys, but she's a hardcore Mormon, man. She's like in young ladies and all things that she was doing. Uh, and me, I was just I'm what at that time I would say I was a biblicist. I believe the Bible. I don't trust anybody else. I don't really trust anybody else. But I believe the Bible, but I don't trust anybody's opinion about the Bible.
Okay, got you.
I read the Bible and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then somebody tells me what they think that means. I'm like, no, that don't make no sense.
Yeah.
So, but I was that's kind of my core. I and then as I approached her, we were having these conversations. I was just fascinated that she read the same Bible I did, but she was so different in what
No, let
she
me ask you
believed.
something. Are you talking about that lovely lady of yours of 24 years?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So when
And
I
that's
met
important.
her, yeah, yeah. So I met her, and I did not see it as a romantic relationship. I saw it as a friendship, or
Met
almost like
once.
it was a challenge. For me, as somebody who's like, I read the Bible, and I'm like, we're in Bible study together, but like she reads the same Bible, but she is so not anywhere near where I've landed, not anywhere near it. And I'm like,
Mm.
how does that happen? So I'm like asking her these questions, and spiritual questions, and biblical questions, or whatever, and we just start hanging out more and more and more, right? Like the whole time, just hanging out more. Now I knew her before when I was dating this other girl, which became an issue later. But I knew her while, but I didn't know. I didn't pay attention. Whatever. She was just a girl. Like just like I was in college. There's girls everywhere. If I wanted another girl, there's girls everywhere.
Yes.
But this particular girl, she just caught my attention, and not definitely not. It wasn't lust. It wasn't like desire. It wasn't passion. It was just she's there, and we
A
have these
commonality.
conversations.
A commonality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We found common ground, and we just having these discussions and talking more and more, and it just became like a daily thing. College. I'm in college. I'm stuck in not stuck, but I'm in college for hours during the day, and I'm hanging out with my friends, or I'm going to class, or I wasn't going to class a lot, but I should have been going to class more. Um, and then it was just this fun time in my life, and then I kind of expressed to her like my because back then I thought what I thought was right. I didn't have like an open mind. I had a closed mind. I had an open life. I had a very closed
Ah.
mind. I had a very closed mind, and so I would just say these crazy things. I would say these just nonsense, crazy things just to see how people would take it. And I would tell uh, I would tell her things about like, well, yeah, I broke up with this girl, and I don't think I'm ever gonna get in a relationship again, and I don't trust. Like, I think that young women that my age do not know what they want, so therefore I don't want to be in a situation where I don't know what they don't know what they want, but I know what I want. I'm not gonna do that. So we had that whole conversation, and she's just absorbing it all. She's not even saying anything. She's like, yeah, okay, whatever. I guess so. And then we go on this date. But our not, I wouldn't say our friends fixed us up, but that's definitely what happened. We're in this Bible study group, and they're like, "Hey, we need to nominate somebody to be homecoming for homecoming, right? We have to nominate people from our group." And they just nominated us. I didn't know this at the time. These jokers,
Setting you
these
up.
manipulative,
Setting
these
you
manipulative
up.
Christians, Christians cannot be trusted.
That much I know.
They're grand. They are manipulators, man. So they got us to go on this date, this homecoming date, and so we went out with all our friends. She had two kids. She had been married before, right? So she'd
Okay.
been married. Her husband's out of the picture for the most part. Her ex husband, and she's got these two kids. So she dropped her kids off the sitters. We go on this date. We have a good time, whatever. We're all talking and joking around and having fun. And at the end of the date, um, I just kind of say it. I'm like, I'm not gonna date anymore. Like I'm gonna find the girl, whatever that girl is, and then God's gonna tell me that's the one, and that's it. I'm not gonna do any of this. I'm not gonna date for like 2 years or 6 months or no. I'm just gonna, and that's how it's gonna be. And that was kind of the end of that discussion. She's like, yeah, that's interesting. That's a weird way of okay. So that was
what a
now
weird segment into
yeah,
this
but I kind of
setup.
but I didn't want to lead her on like like maybe we'll just go on a bunch of dates and we'll be dating for a long time. And no, I wanted to kind of. It was foolish at the time. Now looking back, especially, I know how the story ends. So
Yeah,
that kid was a dummy.
it seems foolish, but that was the building block that got you guys to where you are today.
It actually is probably one of the main things that my wife would say. She's like, "Oh yeah, he's not going to play around. Like he's not going to just be in this for a minute and then just jump out whenever he feels like it.
All
He's
right,
got this other idea, right?"
so let, so
So
let,
we got married. So we after that date, some stuff happened. I met her kids, and her kids are adorable. I mean, they're my kids now too, but at the time, her kids were adorable, and I just really liked them. And I liked her vibe. I liked everything about the kind of her lifestyle was it meshed well with mine. She was a single mom living in the projects, like going to school every day. Then she had a job. She was a social worker, so she was going to work every day. And like I got to see that. Like I didn't know any of that whenever I first met her, but then I got this over the course of the next few months. I got to see like, oh, this person's serious about life. Like they're not playing around. Like because like most of the girls I knew, they were just goofing around. It's college. And she was serious. She's like, "This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing to make my kids' lives better. This is what I'm doing to make my life better. I got myself in this situation, and this is how I'm gonna work it. This is how I'm gonna get it out." I was like, "Man, that's legit. Like that's
wow.
serious."
All right, so here's my question to you now.
Yeah.
When did you know
Ah.
that you loved her? When did you know? Because now,
So,
based
yeah,
upon
you found. Yeah, you. I. I said I was sitting down with one of the youth kids. I'm like a youth leader in this church I was at. And one of the youth kids said, "Why don't you guys date?" And she's like, "You guys like each other. Obviously, you kind of you hang out with each other a lot. You're always talking. Why don't you guys date?" And I thought, and now this was probably like 3 months after getting to know her and see her life, right? And I thought about it, and I was like, "Well, she's a Mormon. That's a big deal for me."
that's a
Um,
deal breaker. Deal
and
breaker.
no, it's not. I wouldn't say it was somewhat, it was somewhat of a deal breaker. Like, first of all, if you can fall for this, anyway. Anyway, Indians? Really? Anyway, whatever.
I seen her. You looking to the right, so I'm thinking that she's right there. Let us see her beautiful face.
Yeah, she's on the other side of the door.
Okay, because I told her I'm going to call her out. Now I told her I'm going to call her out. All right.
So
So
so so I really I not I considered it. It was an idea in my head, but it was not something real. Now, when this young lady asked me about it, I thought about it, and I'm like, man, she is kind of perfect. Like, all the things I want, she's those things. Why don't I date her? And it really came down to like I don't want to date. I want to get married. I want to not get married. I want to be in a meaningful relationship that
steady. Yeah.
ends in marriage.
Yes.
Right? That's what I wanted. And so and could that be her? And the second I considered like I didn't put those two things together. But when I considered it, I was like, oh, it not only could it be her, I don't think it could be anybody else. Like I have these ideas of what I want a woman to be like, what I want somebody who cares for me and is in my life. Though I have those things already in my head, and she matches all those things. And I know all the girls that I've met in my life, which is 15. I don't know, not a lot of girls, but all the girls I've
Yes.
met in my life did not match any of those things. They did
Mm,
not. They did not have it together. They were not purposeful with their actions. They did not like. Even though I would say I probably never had considered race. Like that was the thing that was holding me back. I didn't know that. I never thought of of a woman I would be with having kids because I'm young at the time. I'm 18 years old, right? So her having kids, that was actually a barrier to me considering like, oh, why don't, but she checked off all these other boxes. I just didn't even think about it because of that. And then when this young lady asked me why I didn't date her, I could not come up with a good excuse. I'm like, man, she is everything. She's the package, right? She's the deal.
Right.
And none of the other girls I've ever met are not the deal. And I would say that sparked it for me. I really that consideration, like, oh, could she be the one? Well, nobody else could possibly fit up to these other things that
All
I've
right.
met
The
anyway.
expectations that you have for yourself in your mind.
Right, right. And the things I wanted out of life, like that nobody else came anywhere near those things. And this girl did. It just happened to be that she had some kids. So and I was like, man, what a silly thing. Like to so that sparked it. And then after that, the way I looked at her was different. I was like, oh, she could potentially be the one. She could be my wife. Now, in that meantime, I'm 18 years old, getting ready to turn 19. I joined the military like not many months after that. We started dating in April. I joined the military in July.
Ooh.
Um, yeah.
Not
So
many,
then, and I was like,
not much romantic time there.
well, a little bit, but the thing was, her family's military, so that was all this stuff came together at once in my life. I was doing horrible in school. I was just not. I may be an intelligent guy, but I was just not a good student. I was a horrible student, and so I was not doing great in school. I knew I wanted something better out of my life, whatever, whatever. Her family, all military, and so as I got to know her family, I'm like, oh man, maybe that's a route I could take. And so as I made those considerations, and we started dating at that point, so she's encouraging that because she knows what a military life is like. So she's
Yes.
like, yeah, let's do. She's like, my dad was in the military. You should join the military. That's a great idea. And so we kind of go that I go that route. I joined the military. We're separated for a little. Now that was the big deal for me, and it probably has a lot to do with my philosophy on all of life.
Right.
In my opinion, you got to leave to know what something is. Like you really, if you really want to know how something works, you got to get away from it. Like it when you're inside of something, doesn't matter if it's a system, financial situation, relationship. When you're inside of it, you're not dealing with reality. You're dealing with the reality of the thing you're in, not reality itself. The reality of the thing you're in. And so, my advice to most people who have been a part of church for a long, long time, I'm not saying go to hell and forget about God. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you've never left, how do you know what's real? How do you know if you've been plugged into this thing your whole life? How do you know what? Because that's it. That's all you know. And so for me, this young little relationship I was a part of, I only been dating this girl for several months, like 4 or 5 months, and then I broke from it. I was in tech school, or not tech school. I was in basic training, and that separation within 3 weeks, I'm on the phone because there's lots of emotions, lots of stuff going on in the beginning of your military career. But within 3 weeks, I was like, "Here's the deal: you're gonna get the rings." I didn't even ask her. I was like, "You're gonna get the rings when we come down. When you come down here to visit me, we're getting married." And she's like, "All
All
right,
right.
that's
All
it.
right.
That's the
I'm
deal."
gonna, I'm gonna go back to the day old question. When did
Yeah,
you know you loved her?
yeah. I would say
Because now the reason why I'm asking this question, right,
so.
for our audience
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are listening, if you're joining us today, you're now joining now living in the Philippines. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Help us to get to 10,000 subscribers. We are at 6,300. We're trying to get to 10,000 because once we get to 10,000, we're gonna shoot for 50,000. Once we shoot for 50,000, we're gonna shoot for 100,000. Here's the reason: because we want to get the algorithm going and get out this information to as many people who might be struggling in their lives when it comes to love and to understand what love is. So we're breaking this down here. Love, love, love.
I would say
When do you know you
I would
love
say
her?
I felt I loved her when I started dating her.
You felt.
I knew I loved her when I left her. When I was away from her, I knew like, oh, I can't live without this connection. Like this is it for me. So
Mm,
I would say I felt like I loved her. I felt a lot of affection for her. Obviously, I was attracted to her
deep.
physically, um, but I respected her lifestyle and like kind of the way she had structured herself. She had presented herself. Like I loved many aspects of her. Right. So I already liked these ideas of these. these ways she carried herself, I love that. But when did I know I loved her? When I left her, like when she took me to the plane, the airport the day before I joined the military. She took me there. She's the one who dropped me off. And we're like saying, she's crying. I'm not crying. I'm a man, but she's crying. She's crying, and I'm like, it's all right. I'll be. It's This is 6 weeks. It's nothing. I'll be back before you know it. And I didn't know anything about the military, so I didn't know that that's not true at all. That is not true. That's not what happened. But um, she's like, "What if you go and you meet somebody else or whatever, whatever?" And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't think that's gonna happen, but maybe. But it's all good. Like everything's gonna happen the way God wants it to happen. And then after that, after those first few weeks, and I just didn't have like I had this other stuff going on in life, but I didn't have her. I realized like, oh, she is. That's it. Like
She's the
she's it.
one. She's the
She's the
one.
one. Like
She's the
now,
one.
now I liked her. I didn't. I liked her enough to start dating, like really start dating her, which she would say courtship. That's like everybody's favorite word. Christians love to say courtship. I don't know why, but they love to say courtship. This isn't medieval times. I don't know why, but anyway, whatever. There's no court, so
There's no court, and there's definitely no ship.
there's like the stuff you're talking about doesn't exist anymore. But
All
whatever.
right, let's look
But
at
we
what.
were courting. We were with each other for a while, and we hit it off physically, emotionally. We connected in a lot of ways. But that separation was a big deal. Like once I was away from it, I knew it was. When I was in it, I was like, I feel this way. This is good. It makes me happy. But I don't know. Who knows what's gonna
All
happen.
right, so
When
for
I
the
was away
hearers,
from it, that's what I did.
for, for those who are listening to us right now, what I'm picking up from what you're saying, in order to truly know if you want that thing, or you truly know that you're in love with that thing, or you gotta leave it. You gotta separate
You,
from it.
you got to separate from it. You got to be without it to know what it really is. Because
So
I would say, go
in your
ahead.
opinion, did you think that that is the way to truly harness that feeling of love?
I don't know if it's to harness the feeling, but to understand it. Yes. So the same thing happened in the other relationship I was in. I went. It was summertime before uh, I was checking out colleges, whatever. Me and my best friend went to California to spend some time with his family, and we were gone for like 3 weeks. And during that time, I did not think about that girl at all. I was having fun in California, going to the beach, going to parties, going to I was 16 years old, dyeing my hair. But I was crazy. I was doing crazy, doing 16-year-old
What
stuff.
here were you
What
dying?
hair? What
I'm just
hair?
trying to figure out.
What hair?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what hair you're talking about.
Hey, hey!
This,
Back when
this,
I had hair, man. Back when I had hair. No, I went away. I did not think about that girl one time. I didn't talk about. I think she emailed me once, and so I emailed her back. I was like, hey, whatever, whatever. This is what we're doing. But I didn't call her on the phone, nothing. And I came back, and she's like, you're like a different person. You're like a different person. Well, I mean, my hair was different color, so yeah. But really, like being away didn't mean anything. It was like whatever. I'm back now.
yes.
So what does it
You
matter?
got, yeah, you were infatuated. You see everything that you like about this woman, and then when you're away from her, they get that stronger separation. Your absence make the heart go fonder, and then you know
Yeah,
right away that this is the person I want to be with. According
I
to
would say
hold on,
life forces that on most people.
according to say it again.
I think life forces that on most people. So for whatever reason, some people gotta get away from each other, like family, something. Like it's just life. Kind of it puts you in that situation where you have to evaluate: is this something I need in my life, or is it something that's just in my life?
Life
And for me,
force
that's what it did.
life life force you into that situation. I hope my daughter's watching, because my second daughter's going through some things right now with her husband, and I think this is definitely something that I want her to hear, is that life sometimes puts you in a situation where you have to now make a decision whether or not, because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you what my understanding of what I believe love is. And once we break that down, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother thing. I think we're going to have to do a part two of that, because My brother got a list this long on things on basically we're actually going in the same direction. So let me take a look now at what the Oxford Dictionary has to say about love. The Oxford Dictionary says, love is an intense feeling of deep affection. Two, similar, a great interest and pleasure in something or someone. The verb, feel deep affection for someone. Again, the similar, like or enjoy very much. Is that love? Is that love? An intense feeling of deep affection. Because we know what this other lady said over here, having that will, a good will towards the other, right? Of the other. And now the dictionary is telling us it's an intense feeling of deep affection. Is that love, in your opinion? Is that what
No.
you experience? All right, good, good. All right. What about we gonna get in there because I know we have a lot to touch upon this. Um, what about a great interest and pleasure in something?
Interest, pleasure. Hmm. No, no, no.
No.
I
So
can.
that's not what
No,
all right. Let's look at the verb. Feel deep affection for someone. Is that love?
no.
Mm,
But all those things are actions that love can produce. Yes.
yes. Ah. See, if you're joining us here and you are now living in the Philippines, please comment your answers. What you think love is, so we can actually talk about them and put them on live because we're interested to hear what you have to say. Because listen, we are not the masters of love here. We didn't create it. We just get an opportunity to enjoy it, understand it, experience it through a life. And for every person, like I said before, for every person, love is different. Like maybe some of these things that we just read here is what you consider to be love. So now how do you evaluate that love? How do you evaluate that love to know that you have love, and how do you know that your evaluation of that love will stand the test? And how
Ah,
long standing the test makes it love? 10 years, 15 years, 30 years? Because I've seen 30 years of marriage gone down the drain. I've seen that. I've witnessed that. I've seen 20 years. I've seen 40 years. I've seen marriages got to the place where they're just waiting for the kids to grow up. They stay in the marriage because it's cheaper to keep her. And as soon as the kids grow up and gone off to college, they out, they quit. I've seen marriages that last 10, 15, 20, 30 years where they stay together because, like again, it's cheaper and it's economically wise to just stay together. They're not in love. They're just in the same room. They have friends, like these benefits that they enjoy, but they have no real love. So that's why we're attempting here to answer the question. Now, you heard a lot from my brother here, but go ahead because I now
no,
want
no.
to share you my
That's
experience.
no. That's you. You said something good. We'll come back to it. Go ahead.
Write it down so you don't forget it. All right. I
Yeah.
don't want you to forget. All right. So you heard in the beginning. If you were joining me from the beginning, make sure you go rewind the tape, watch this again. I've been around the block, nah, yai, yai. All right, because my perception of love, I didn't have no perception of love because I didn't have no examples. I had no real examples of love. I didn't see it. Even in the churches when I used to go to church, I didn't see any examples of love. I never seen husband and wife holding hands. Public display of affection. You don't see that. The father's there, the mother's there, the mother's always with the children. So I never really see that. But as you grow up, you start watching shows, you start watching movies, and maybe some of us watch the X-rated movies, and these X-rated movies has the storyline, and you feel like this is love, and so love always seems to have something to do with sex, and then you feel like because even some man, I can tell you now, being 53 years old, going on 54 years old, I can tell you right now that part of sex for me makes me feel love, and that's because of the experience that I have growing up. Because I remember now, I've never met a woman. I've never met a woman that I didn't have sex with, in the first 3 weeks of meeting them. I wonder if anybody's listening today. I've never met a woman that I haven't had sex with in 3 weeks of meeting them, except for my wife, the woman I have now. You know what I mean? The woman I have now, we had a 4-year friendship before I get to know her. I get to see her. I get to like her. She gave me peace. I mean, but before I get to that, before I get to that juicy part, let me talk about my experience of love. Right? Like I said, I didn't have any. All I had was what I was taught by the world around me. And that's, and like Tom said, culture. In my culture, the more woman you have, you the man. you know, you the man. The more woman you can have sex with, you the man. So in my culture, in the Jamaican culture, it's like, okay, how many women can you sleep with? How many women can you put under your belt? And so for me, at one point, that was love. Everybody big me up. Oh, you the man, Mike. You got this girl. You got that girl. Have you slept with this one yet? I remember it when it really started hitting me. When it really started hitting me, is when a guy came to me, man. A guy came to me and he said, "Please don't have sex with my girl, Tom." I'm like,
Dang.
yo, man. I'm telling you, man. I remember that now, and I'm thinking about it. Like it's really the man was begging me not to have sex, not to break up this relationship. He knew his girl liked me, and he came to me on a one-on-one. And when he said that to me, man, it did something to me because I'm like, what type of reputation do I have? What type of reputation do I have? And through my experience, I'm leaving kids all over the place. You know what I mean? My first child was I was 15 years old. I got the girl pregnant at 15.
Wow.
And she had an abortion. And I was very upset about it, because abortion is something that I never believed in because I'm like, I was the last of 4 boys. My mother really wanted a girl. And when she saw me, she was really upset because she wanted a girl. She lost a baby before me and she lost one after me. And she really wanted a girl. So me coming, she was really upset, man. She didn't want to see me. She said, I don't want to see him, take him away. And her only thought was to leave me in the hospital. She's like, I'm going to leave him there. And then she said she heard me cry. She heard me cry and she fell in love with my voice. That's why I see this voice is made for great things. I'm going to do great things with this voice here. you know, and
Yeah, it
that
saved your life.
yeah, man. That's why I'm a proclaimer. I proclaim the truth, my experience. I'm transparent. If you were to meet me, you're going to see this is who I am. I don't have a different voice for radio. I don't have a different voice for YouTube. I don't have a different way I'm acting when I see you in the street. This is who I am. So, when she told me that, I always like, okay, I'm going to bring a child. And then I always ask myself the question, what if my mother had bought me? Where would I be today? Where would my 7 children be today? What kind of relationship would I have? What kind of life? I would have no life. So I always I'm like, we're gonna have this child. And even my best friend at the time brought me money. He said, you can't let that woman have your child. That woman can't have your child. You have more gorgeous women than this, the more educated woman. Someone can. Nah, man, that's my child. That's my baby. But then, you know, she had the abortion. She had the abortion. No, actually, I mixed up the two. So the first one had the abortion, and that was it. And I cut her off. But I was moving around with different women. So I got another girl pregnant. This time I was 16 years old. I tell you, I had a lot of women all my life. Bro, I've been having sex since I was about 6 years old, man. I
Crazy.
know that's so crazy. I've been having sex since I was
But
6 years
but
old.
also culture. Culture plays a huge role.
Culture. And that's what I see my brothers do. That's what I see my friends do. That's what I see the businessman do. The people you look up, you want to be like. The rich man you look up, they have nice cars and plenty of women. So that's what you see growing up. So, that was a part of your life. That was a part of my life. I wanted a big belly. You know why I wanted a big belly? Because every rich man I know had a big belly. And I always think, man, if I
Yeah,
get a big belly, man, then I'll set myself up to be rich. I tell you, man, culture and perception is crazy.
it is. It is, man.
It
It shapes who we are. It's not
shapes.
the only thing. It's not the only thing, but it has a huge impact.
Talk about the impact, right? So I was impacted. So when this second girl now was pregnant for me, I knew, like you said, I knew I didn't want to marry. I was not going to marry her. And besides, at that time, I knew I was coming to America. I seen coming to America. Well, I seen the movies. America has all the ladies and different kind of women from different type of culture. I knew I wasn't going to settle myself with no one woman down there. So I told her, I said, listen, raise my son until he's 13 years old. I'm going to take care of him, send you all what you need. When he's 13 years old, I'm come get him. And that's what we did. That lady ended up to have a life. She got married. She had 4 other children. I took my son, and my son lived with me until he's now married and have his own life, right? But then I come to America. You think I would have learned my lesson? I met this half Chinese girl, and I got her pregnant, and then that was a headache right there because of the culture. They were Chinese Jamaican, and the mother didn't
Woo!
see me worthy. Yeah, mother didn't see me worthy of being with her daughter. Yeah, man. So one whole thing, that's a
How
long
many jobs
story.
does it? How many jobs does a Chinese Jamaican have? Like I'm trying to think of those. That's the strongest work ethic and the most desire to work you can get. Like that's the combination.
Yeah, Chinese Jamaicans are positioned. They don't have jobs. They,
Ah,
yeah, just like the Indians, Jamaicans, they're positioned. They have all the business, the money. They live in the best house.
ah,
Yeah, so
they're entrepreneurs.
they're
Yeah, okay, I got
entrepreneurs.
you. I got you. Yeah.
Entrepreneurs. So she didn't thought I was worthy, and it was a hard, it was rough stuff. And then I'm looking at my life, right? So I have at this point now, I have 2 sons. I have a son and a daughter, failed relationships, and I'm saying to myself, my goodness gracious, all right, what do I want for my life? And I knew I wanted to serve God. I wanted to serve Yahweh. I knew that was a must in my life. I knew also that I wanted a wife in the examples that I seen my mom. My mother was a stay-at-home
Mm.
mom, and she take care of the house. My grandmother worked her butt off in the restaurant, so my grandmother was kind of like daddy. And my mother was stayed home to raise the 4 boys without a father. And so I see that my mother cleaned for me, cooked for me, do the whole night. So that's the only example I have. So I wanted that because I saw the stability it brought us without a father. So I met this girl, and I said, I just said to myself, the next woman I meet, I'm going to go through thick and thin with her. This is it, right? Met this girl at a party. Never meet a woman at a party, and call her wife.
Oh boy.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
but hey,
It was a nightmare. But anyway, I met this woman at a party. We hit it off. I left to take some people home. I came back. She was there. The host of the party asked me if I could take her home. I took her home, and I just fell for her, man. And at this point, the girl that I was dating, she was pregnant, right? But we broke up because she wanted to have an abortion, and I decided, okay, if you're gonna have an abortion, we're over, we're done. But she was 5 months pregnant, so when she went to go have the abortion, it was too risky, so they never did. But she never got in touch with me, so I just moved on. I was hurt. I moved on, and then 4 months later, I got a phone call that she's having a baby. Now, I'm in another relationship. Okay, that's one thing with me. I don't linger in negativity. I don't linger in things that is not gonna build me up. So once we're done, then I'm start to think. I don't have no time to water. You know what I mean? Like, because it's not gonna get you nowhere. You're not. If you let him go, let her go. It's not
there
gonna
we
get you
go.
nowhere. Yes, you can set a time and say, well, all right, I give her 5 months, I give her 6 months, but that's 5, 6 months of your life you're wasting. You know what I mean? Hoping that somebody comes back. So anyway, and I met this girl, and I wasn't really looking for a relationship, but I met her, and we hit it off well. She was at the moment a piece for me, and I thought I loved this woman because she was different. She was different because the way she loved me, like never really met a woman that buy things for me and give me put money in my pocket. I never met that, never had that because I'm always the giver. I'm always the one giver. So she was like buying things for me and putting money in my pocket because I didn't have a job at the time, and she was really taking care of me. So for me at that time, I thought that was love. I thought that was love.
Ah. So
Because
being served and being cared for, that was love.
I thought that was love. And so
Yeah.
I immerse myself into it. I mean, immerse. I become the husband. I become the man of God. I become the husband. I become the worker. I was just doing my thing. But we had 4 children back to back. We have 2 in the first month, in the first, yeah, in the first year, and then we had 2 after that. We had 4 kids. So now that we have all these kids, I'm thinking to myself, all right, what are we going to do and how I'm going to do it? This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to work till this point. I'm going to have this much money. I'm going to buy a 4-family house, and then I'm going to start through real estate. Shut. Just before we get to that place where my marriage started to go sour. Long story short, my marriage went sour, got divorced. I'm back home in my mother's house, in her couch, coming home with $50 a week. Child support takes everything from me.
Uh,
Talk about a depressing time of my life.
yeah.
I was done with women, done with black women, period. I said,
Oh no, no, not
yeah.
the black woman. That's the
Oh, I was done with black women. I was done with women. I
no.
was like, that's enough. I'm never giving anyone my heart again. I'm just gonna, that's where the 7 women come in. I was just juggling. Now, you're here for me. I'm not giving you my heart. That's it. Take it or leave it. This is what you're gonna get. You know? And that's how I lived my life for a while. And then when I met my wife, there was something about her that gave me peace.
Ah,
Jesus.
something about it. That's the
Man,
same thing, man. I remember what there's just something about her.
man.
I couldn't tell you what it is, but it's
Yeah,
something.
I just and for the first time in a long, long time, I wasn't thinking sex. I just wanted to get to know her. Like I just wanted to get to know her. And as I get to know her and talk to her, I just she's intelligent. She got her own, she was just she was everything. I had peace. But here's when it really becomes, yeah. Her aunt asked me to give her a ride home. And I told her to call her husband, our boyfriend, our significant other, and let them know I'm only giving you a ride because I'm not running from nobody. And ain't nobody gonna beat me up. Yeah, I was ready to fight, man. I'm giving you a ride, call them in advance, let them know I'm only giving you a ride. And then she told me she live alone. You live alone? All these years I know you. Yeah. I was like, I thought, what? How can a fine lady like you don't live alone? What? Nah, I have to find, you know, in our conversation, I knew the type of man she wanted, and I knew I was that man. But we just friends, right? And
Right.
so I came up, I went upstairs to see if she actually lived alone. And I go into this woman's house, man, apartment, and I'm looking at the toilet seat to make sure, I lift up the toilet seat to make sure there's no pee around the edge. I go in the closet, I'm looking for the shave, I'm looking for, you really live alone. And then I
Yeah.
said to her, I said, all right, I'm coming back for dinner tomorrow. Have dinner ready for me. I just took charge. I'm like, that's why I see me wearing the lion. We're king.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lion,
I'm a
baby.
Leo,
Yeah, yeah,
baby.
yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
Leo, baby.
yeah, 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 yeah. I'm like, what? All right, okay. I'm taking over this mess. And I kind of worm my way in. I'm like, I'm coming for dinner. Have dinner ready for me. She made dinner for me. The next day I went in and I kissed her passionately for about a minute straight. And we just hit it off. And every time I go to her apartment, I'm telling you, peace,
Yeah.
peace, peace, peace. The tranquility. She gave me a place of peace. I felt like a man again. I felt my ego was up again. My pride was up again. I felt like a man. That's what she gave me.
Mm.
That's when I felt love. That's when I started
Yeah.
to understand that love is more than just that feeling and emotions. So what I
Yeah.
found out, my friend,
What'd you
love
find? I want to know.
is,
This is what we're
love
getting. Where we're
is.
getting at?
Here's what love
Love
is.
is.
Love
Okay. What is it?
is. And I believe it for the world. I believe it for the world. I believe it for me. Love is a decision,
Okay.
a choice. That's
Yeah.
what love is. You think about it for those who are believers out there, for those who have a concept of who the creator is. I look at it like imperfection, right? Imperfection. He made this man and woman. Everything was good. The only thing wasn't good is the man being alone. Once he solved that problem, everything perfect. But then he said, put a tree in the midst of the garden. Imperfection. They know neither good nor evil. In perfection, he put a tree in the middle of the garden. He said, do not eat of that tree. For the day you eat of that tree, you shall surely die. So what he did, he gave them a choice. Love is a choice. Love is a decision. It's not based on the feelings and emotions. Yes, it wrapped up in it because I felt some way about her. First, when I met this woman, it was all about attraction. Like, woo, she fine. You know what I mean? But then I know that fine can change. Fine can change. You can be fine
Oh
one
yeah.
day and not fine the other day. So I wasn't going to base my relationship on fine. I wasn't going to base my relationship on finance. You can have money right now and be broke. I've seen it. I've seen rich men come broke. I've seen broke men become rich. Anything can happen at any time. Just take one incident for your life to spin. So if you base your relationship on, if you base your love, a relationship on what someone can do for you, what's going to happen to your relationship when they cannot do that for you? So I knew I can't base it on finance, and I knew I can't base it on feelings. What about emotions? How does this person make me feel? The emotions with that person. I knew I couldn't base it because emotion is like a wave. It goes up and it crashes. Feeling is like, feeling comes and go. You feel happy, you feel sad. You feel cold, you feel hot. Comes and goes. It's not
Yeah.
sustainable.
And sometimes it has nothing to do with anything else. It just that's the way emotions work.
Come on now.
It doesn't matter if it's day or night, good or bad. Good things can be happening around you. You can be sad. Bad
All
things can
right.
be happening around you. You're full of joy. It's
So
you have no control almost
none.
of that stuff.
None. So here's what. I know you have a list here, man. I want you to break that list down a little bit because I see, I
So
see
I would say
choice on. I
I would
see.
say you are right. I did the only thing I didn't put on there that you are correct. Love is a choice. So what is love? It is a choice. Now
All right, keep
that
going. I gotta get some water because here's what, ladies and gentlemen.
all right.
I had the craziest diarrhea last night. Oh my god, and I feel like I'm dehydrated, so I gotta get more water.
Hey, be,
So
don't-
go
be
ahead,
careful with that
explain it.
food, man.
Go ahead,
All
explain
right.
it. I'll be right back.
All right. While you're getting water, I will go through this and then we'll recap when you get back. All right. Love is a choice. And that is a good statement. I think it's accurate to how love works. I don't have an issue with it. I don't have a oh well maybe this is that other. No, love is a choice. Love is it constantly comes back to a decision you make about life. And so I'm if you're gonna love something, you're gonna love it. And then how you deal with that love, that's what usually comes into question. That's what usually comes into play. So I think that act the the way love plays out are this combination of three things and then the choice about those three things. So I would say love is a choice made based on connection, commitment, and challenge. So when Macon gets back, we'll get into the details of that. But eh, first off, love can't be other things because other things are about that choice. Other things are a lesser version of the choice to love something or love someone. So if you have, say, someone like I meet my wife, for instance, we both just kind of went over the discussion of how we met our wives and kind of at what point did we know or what point did we um, fall in love or see that love was that's the direction our relationship was going. You 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 have this connection, whether it's physical, emotional, traditional, non-traditional, whatever it is. You have this connection with this person, the spark, and you connect. You mean something to each other. It doesn't know what it can be superficial. It can be super deep. It doesn't matter. You have a connection with this person, and then you choose to explore that connection. You choose to go deeper into that connection, to find out where the limits of that connection are. I think a lot of people in modern times, in modern culture, they have that connection and it's superficial. It is not always, but it is often superficial starting out, and they never find a way to something deeper. So they have a maybe a deep, intimate, physical relationship, but never grow an emotional um, life to it. So it's more of a series of one night stands or passionate interactions, and that's it. There's nothing bigger or long term because a choice is made at some point to say this is what this relationship is going to be about. This is what this connection. This is how we're going to deal with this connection. And then so like I said, I think these three things come into play and they matter the most when it comes to how you're going to deal with love. And so connection is one. The next one is commitment, which is this going to be a committed thing? Am I committed to whatever this can become? Or am I committed to something else that's going to pull me away from this? And so I don't want to lessen the discussion of loving a person because it's a much bigger deal. But let's say you have a career, your job is a mechanic, and you love cars. You make a commitment to learning about cars. You make a commitment to uh, growing and challenging yourself and experiencing different whatever it is to learn more about cars, to do more with cars. You go become an apprentice at a mechanic shop, or you go to school at a mechanic school. Whatever you do, you're committed to this thing. That becomes it's not an obsession, but it becomes a predominant part of your life. That's how love works. There's this commitment to there's choice to have a commitment to that thing. You're committed to it. And then there's the challenge. And I think challenge is a weird one. Originally he said that love wants you or love wants better for the other. That's the challenge. That love, I, that's accurate, but love actually wants better for yourself and the other, right? So you grow together, or you get both parties. The outcome is better for them. That's what love is. Um, and so you choose to make that. You choose to be challenged. I want to be. When I met my wife, I did not have any money. 19 years or 18 years old. I did not. I was failing at college. I did not have a lot of prospects. I had a lot of passion. I talked a lot. I had some good friends and a good network of a community of people around me, but I did not have any financial means, and I definitely didn't have any um, career potentials at that time. And but I wanted when I as I got to know my wife and definitely her two kids, I wanted better for their life. I wanted better for my life, and so I chose a path that would benefit myself and them together. And now, if I had chosen just to benefit them, I could have I could have done things to make money and to financially support or financially impact them in a positive way. But I chose a path that challenged me to become better and then made things better for them. So I hope that kind of makes sense that it's not just wanting better for the other person. That's great, and I think that is I think there's a sacrificial component to love that other people benefit from your sacrifice or your commitment or your ability, and that you don't necessarily benefit immediately benefit from the actions that you're taking. I think that can be accurate to what happens in love. But if you are not growing and you are not getting better and you're not excelling at some aspect of life, whether it's uh, order from chaos, like my life was chaos before I met my wife. I just woke up and did whatever I wanted to do and went to sleep with a clean conscience for the most part. And that is, it sounds like freedom, sounds like a lot of fun, but it is wasteful and it is lonely and it is without purpose. It is without value. It definitely I got a lot of personal satisfaction out of I just did what I want to do, and then I'm happy doing what I want to do. But I was the only one getting the benefit out of it. Everyone, no one else in my life was getting any benefit out of that. And so there's a component of love that is sacrificial, and I think that that's important and valuable. But I really believe, and we'll talk more about it, and I'll get Micah's opinion about it when he comes back. I really believe that there is a choice, that love is a choice 100%. And then what is it a choice about? I believe it's a choice about connection. Are you going to be connected to this person? Um, Commitment. Are you going to be committed to this person? And then challenge. Are you going to allow there to be a challenge to better, a challenge to more, a challenge to abundance, a challenge to the status quo, or how I've lived my life so far is not necessarily how I want to continue living my life. And then how are you going to deal with that challenge? Those are the overwhelming, in my opinion, and in my experience, those are the overwhelming issues of love. And um, yeah, I'm curious how other people see it, because if you don't see love as a choice, if you see love as a feeling that you get, or a maybe an emotional, maybe even a spiritual instance of like, okay, love comes from a different place, and then it impacts me, and now I'm enamored, I'm infatuated, or I'm obsessed, or I'm in love with this person, and now I have to deal with that. Even if you see it that way, which is valid, I can see why people would think that. Even if you see it that way, you still kind of have to come over to, well, what do you do about it then? What do you do about it? Um, do you just allow that to the ride to be whatever it is, and then in the end, when it's over, it's over? Um, I don't know. I know. I think that it still comes down to, even if love comes from somewhere else and you don't have any control over who you love, or the manner it disrupts your life, you it still comes down to a choice. You have a choice about what you do with that love. And so lots of experiences, lots of people I've met in life have, that's been the obvious case. So all right, man, you were gone, but we settled it, we fixed it, and we're done. Everybody knows what love is now. So let's move on. Next subject.
So we can just end the show right here.
Uh, so all I said was 100% love is a choice. Even if you don't believe that, if you think love is a feeling, or love is a spiritual awareness that comes out of nowhere and overtakes your life, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, even if those things are true, which could be. Even
Yes.
if those things are true, love's
Yes.
still a choice.
100%.
even if those things, even if those things are true, love is still a a a a force in your life that you have to make decisions about.
That's right.
Like, what am I going to do about this? Even if I have no control over my love, or the way it impacts or disrupts my life, or
Yes.
where my attention goes. And so I likened it to. So I said while you were gone, I said there's three things that you're making a choice about. That's kind of the real issue. But let's take relationships off the table and say I love I love being an artist, right? I make
Mhm.
art. Now I have to make decisions. Even if I love art, I have to make decisions about loving art. Do I
Yes.
want to become an artist? Do I want to struggle through college, or do I want to just go out there and try to start making it and then see what happens? What I'm still making decisions about the thing I love.
Yes.
And so that really comes into a huge play. And so what I said, I'll briefly go over it, and then I want to hear your thoughts. I believe that love is a choice about three things, and these
Mhm.
three things kind of dominate how love plays out in your life.
All
And
right.
I believe those things are. I didn't put this in my notes, but I figured we'd get to it eventually. Um, Connection, commitment, and challenge. I
Ooh.
think that you have a connection with somebody, whether that is all physical, maybe all emotional, maybe all mental. Uh, I
Yeah.
don't care. You have a connection. Now, what do
Yes.
you do about it? Because you and I have both been in a party. You see a girl across the room. Right, she looks at you. You look at her. That's a connection. What do you do about that? You know, if you're a coward or if you're scared or you're a bit brokenhearted, maybe your decision about that very different. If you're
Yes.
bold and you're enamored or what the kids say, horny, maybe your decision is different. You
Yes.
look at that situation, that connection has a component of choice. I have to make a choice. I have to make a decision about what to do about this connection. And
Everything
and
in
then
life.
yeah, and then the next. So that's connection. Very simple. It can be simple, but it can also be complicated. It could be this deep. I mean, maybe you've known somebody for 10, 15, 20 years, and you have this deep connection. And but maybe you want it to be something more than that, and it's not. You have to make decisions. All right, am
That's
I going to
right.
put my life on hold? Am I put my life on hold to make this thing work?
That's
Maybe
right.
she's married already, or he's married already, or whatever. You don't know. So you make decisions about it. Like it's not just love. It's love and the decision that love you're making about love.
Come on
So
now.
that's
Come on.
connection. And then commitment. That's a huge one. I think that you decide every day that you're going to love this person. You decide, and not just every day, every
Be
difficult
careful.
situation.
Maybe that bullet go right through. Be careful now. Yeah.
Yeah, you make that decision. And then it is a hard. Everybody, you would assume that it's an easy decision because you love this person. No, it ain't easy, man.
It ain't easy.
You think you're easy to love. I think that we are all filled with ego and talent and failure, and we have all these things inside of us as people. And then somebody has to love that, and that's
Yes.
hard. It's hard. I struggle with loving it in myself.
Yeah.
So you don't think other people are gonna
Come
struggle with
on
it?
now.
You don't think other
Come
people
on.
are gonna have a hard time loving you through your failure or loving you through your weakness? No, man, it's difficult.
That's
And
right.
so that commitment is what stays when the feeling goes.
There you
So
go.
when that connection is gone, so you talked earlier about the physical, the sexual side of a marriage, which very you should draw strength from. But
Yes.
it's not gonna be what did we say whenever we first got married? Crazy monkey circus sex for the rest of your life.
Now
It's
it
not gonna be
changes.
it. Yeah, it changes, and not only does it change the passion. Sometimes the passion's way up here, and
Yes.
sometimes the passion is way down here. And what are you committed to? I'm committed to a meaningful relationship. So the commitment doesn't change with the passion. I know the passion changes, the position changes,
That's right.
the end result changes. When I was young, the end result was kids.
That's right.
That ain't the end result no more.
Well,
You know?
I'm telling you, man, we gonna wrap this one up because I wanted to go for an hour, but I think we are at like an hour and a half, which is kind of great. Because what I want to do, this is our first topic. This is our first broadcasting live here on YouTube, where we have the first guest, our first guest, Tom, and I wanted Tom to be my first guest on here, and he just got so much wisdom, so much, man. Uh, before we wrap this up, and we wrap this up with comment with what do you call it, comments, we wrap this up with the closing. um who are you, Tom? Tell us a little bit about yourself, just a little bit. I should have done that in the beginning, but
Uh,
I don't want people to
I'm
not
just a
know
I'm
who you
just a
are.
guy, man. I'm just a guy. I spent some time in America and decided that that's not the place for me.
Yeah.
And we moved to the Philippines. So me and my family live here in the Philippines, and we kind of do stuff, man. We just help people. That's our
Yeah.
goal, and
Yes.
that's
Trust
it.
me.
That's me.
They help people. I make Albania Ochral, and we moved here about a year ago, and we moved here because of a belief system. So we believe that the Philippines is the birthplace of humanity. We believe that with all our heart. We believe that this is where it started, and this is where it's going to not end, but this is the midway between what the Creator is trying to do in His people, in His bloodline people. And so we came to Philippines because of the commandment given to us to flee the land of our enslavement. So this is why we're here. Now living in the Philippines is geared around, just our journey, and gears around our family, and gears around who we are as a people. and we just wanted to like just spread that out there. But also, I want to use this platform to really show everyone around the world how the Philippines is. I believe that the Philippines is a great place to live. I love it here. I can't see living any in a place. I tell you, I'm not going back. This is my home. This is my home. I'm not going back for no reason at all. And I tell you, I left 6 kids and 6 grandchildren there. A mother that I love, friends. I'm not going back. And they all know this about me. And they know if they die, I'm not coming to the funeral. They know if they get married, I'm not coming to the wedding. I mean, unless we're going to do it this way, it's not going to happen because this is where the creator allowed us to be, and it's where we are. So don't forget to like, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, don't forget to share and comment, and let us know some of the topics you want to talk about, so when we come we can talk about it. And I didn't get much comment today. I was looking for more comment because I really want to hear from you. This is why I'm doing it live here on YouTube, is because like I said, man, my name is Make All. I'm to proclaim who is like unto the Creator, right? And I have a lot to share. We have a lot to give, and I want to give it. And my brother Tom, told me that, man, listen, there's a lot more you can do than finance. You can give a lot more information. You can give a lot more of yourself. And so this is one way I'm doing it. So I want to thank you again. So we're gonna have final statements from. Actually, I'm gonna let you get the final word. So let me just close with this. A wise man once told me, well, wise man once told me that when you make a decision, when you make a decision, all the invincible forces in the universe come to aid you on that decision. I never forget that. Carlton Sheets. I wonder how many people know who Carlton Sheets is. You know, Carlton Sheets was a real estate mogul, and he was out there showing people how they could get houses with no money down. And I bought his course, and I'm like, yeah, it was another course, not of people robbing us and stealing us, but this man was sincere. And I followed his course, and I bought my first house, not with not 1 cent out of my pocket, with not one credit, not 1 cent, not one credit. I bought my first house. You know what I mean? So I know that the statement that he made was true, and I kept that to my life. When you make a decision, all the invincible forces in the universe, and I can tell you stories you will not have time. No, not stories, events, things that happen in my life that you will not have time. I could keep you here 4 hours straight. Now, I could keep you here 3 weeks straight with events that happen in my life because I make a decision. So, with that said, don't forget to like, share, and comment, and let us know. I think I gotta let you know the date because we got some more people coming from America, and we're to live here for good, and we got to meet them. So I don't want our life to be in conflict with that. So I'll tell you the date when we're gonna have the next live. So stay tuned for that. All right, Tom, you get the last word, my friend.
All right. Well, when it comes to life and people, I really what the point one of the points I really wanted to make, and so I just wanted to say this: you can use people and cherish things, or you can cherish people and use things. You should cherish people
Come on
and
now,
use things.
I
If
cherish.
you confuse those two, if you mess those up, you regret it. You suffer and other people suffer. But if you
Mm,
get that right, if you use things correctly and you cherish people correctly, life is an abundant place of happiness, hope, fulfillment, purpose, goodwill. All of the good things in life come from getting those things in order. And I know so many people these days have such an issue with people who make money and are rich and have money and all these things they get upset about. It's but the people I know who are truly happy in life, doesn't matter if they're rich or poor, they correctly use things and correctly cherish people. And
mm,
it makes all the difference. Like loving things does not work out. It's good to care about things and do things, but loving people works out. If you love people well, you cherish people well, it makes life easier for you and for other people. If you don't, if you use people, man, it's just an endless parade of misery and destruction and a path of bad, negative experiences. So that's what I wanted to get. That's what I wanted to get to.